Wow, what a crazy season this has been. I went from thinking we were going to be 11-6 to thinking 11-7 was possible. I'm sorry, 10-7 was possible. And now this is just turning into a debacle. This team is 3-9 now, and it doesn't look like there's anything to look forward to, especially when we start talking about the injury reports that came out today. So let's just get into that. This is the show with Lynn. This is the lowdown with Lynn Hayden. So let's bring Lynn on. Lynn,
Dan,
your hair on fire too, or what's going on here?
I know. Well, we didn't have a show last week, people, because I was on the injury report like the rest of the Bears, down and out and sick. So as I told Dan, there's a disclaimer. I'm going to be coughing today, so I apologize. I'm still sick.
Just
So
don't hit your fucking mic with your hand and disconnect
no,
the mic 18
I won't
times.
do that. I won't do that. I promise. I'm not going to do that anymore. Well, we'll see.
Stop using your hands so much, man.
That's my problem. If I sat on my hands, I wouldn't be able to talk.
It's true, right?
Yes. So true.
Oh man. So this has been one hell of a ride, huh? I mean,
the last few weeks, I don't know. It went from we were at such a high, even with the losses, and then we just came crashing down. I mean, especially after last weekend. I mean, it was just rough in New Jersey, and with the Jets game, between Atlanta and that game, it just took what wind we had left out of our sails.
100%, because we were riding a high, even though we were losing, because there was these moral victories we were having, right?
Exactly, but
they were so close. So the Giants game was close, the Packers game was close, the Vikings game was close, the Commanders game was close. Then you have this
the Detroit
game was close.
Yep,
and then this fucking ass kicking by Mike White of all people.
I know. Well, we knew that they were going to score points, but without Fields being in there, but it was a smart thing, because if you know, that defense had 32 sacks going into that game. For that alone, I wouldn't have put Fields in. So I was happy, because they would have just killed him. I mean, they only sacked Trevor twice, but he gets the ball out really fast. Mm-hmm. Something that Fields could really learn from him. I mean, whether some of them were accurate or not, he still got them out of his hand quickly, because he has played in the NFL a few years, so he knows.
He backed up Peyton Manning for a while, so he
sure did.
He knows the game,
and he's a smart dude, because he went to Northwestern too. So
I honestly thought he would have 300 plus passing that game. Just because
it sure started out that way, didn't it? I mean, he went right down the field, and then the Jets were probably like, "What the hell? We ain't letting this guy do this," and they got their act together, and they didn't. I mean, he had 175 yards, right? Yes, here we go.
179 yards passing.
Yeah,
one interception. But at halftime, he had like 129. I was like, it might have been more than that. It might have been like 100.
Well, they came out.
Okay.
Well, that whole game changed in the second half. It really did. I mean, we lost steam and they gained steam. And that's the thing. Looking at our team, we know what the problems are. We've talked about it, and we'll talk about it again today. But I think these guys are fucking tired. I really do. With this late bye, I'm not a fan of it. I feel that a late bye like this only helps a team that's headed for the playoffs. That they can sit their guys, starters, they got that extra week, but not us. And I was going to mention this. Those two injuries, which were huge in that game, Mooney and Jackson, who both were playing lights out for us, standouts, both of them. Jackson had the most tackles on defense. Mooney had the most yards receiving. I was thinking about this. I know the field wasn't that great, too. It did rain all day. But I was thinking, had we had an earlier bye, it's just something to think about. An earlier bye, and these guys had a chance to rest their bodies, maybe those injuries don't really happen because they're tired, so their bodies are strained, and when those muscles and ligaments and stuff are weak from being tired, this is what happens. And had they had a bye, in the middle of the season, which normal, you want, maybe they don't happen. So that's what I was thinking about that. I mean, there's nothing we could do about it, but it was a thought in my mind, I don't know.
They have 5 games left, right?
Yes.
And they still have to play 1 game before the bye.
Yes.
So if there was 4 games left and they still had to play 1 game before the bye, that means we would be into there'd be 3 games, it'd be week 14, but we'd be 3 games left in the season. If this was 2 years ago, and give
before the 17, yeah, exactly.
The last
You're right.
possible week you could give a team the bye. They gave the Bears the bye.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point. They would have had the bye somewhere around 9 after 9 games or so.
Yeah, that's when you really need it.
Right.
The teams that get that, excuse me, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
The teams that had those buys were definitely, and you know what's going to happen is we're going to get a buy the first week you get a buy next year, and we're going to be pissed because we're going to be like, what the fuck are we supposed to do with that one?
They're going to give us a shitty schedule next year, and then they're going to give us a bye week 5.
I bet you, I will bet you anything this is going to happen. And you know what? And at first, when we looked at the schedule, I was like, oh, maybe that's not so bad. But as we see, the guys need that rest because, Coach Flus, no matter what, he's got these guys playing, whether they're good or bad. They are there from beginning to the end, even though they can't finish a game as far as scores and with wins. But these guys are playing much more than I saw in the last few years under that last idiot, And so, they're tired. They looked tired to me, didn't they?
They did. They look tired. They're still playing with the intensity, the hits principles, if you want to go that route. But the intensity is there. It's just, you're right. They're dogging it, man.
Their legs. I mean, these legs can only do so much, and
you've removed these players in the middle of the year on the team that were leaders, and
yes,
I'm sure there is some morale that has gone down, especially with the 5-game losing streak. You combine all that without having a bye, yet.
Yeah, and then you lose 2 big guys last week who were very vocal in the locker room. As a matter of fact, Coach Flus told Mooney, we want you on our sidelines. We want you to be still because he's such a motivator for the offense, and the same with Jackson.
He's a leader.
Defense.
Yep.
So
we lost 2 more leaders.
Exactly.
And defense.
That's exactly right. So that was a real blow. I didn't see Mooney. I saw Mooney go down, but when my son and I were watching, and Jackson just went down, I saw him. I go, "Did you see Jackson?" Because the camera went right by, and I go, "Was that Jackson who just fell down?" And then I go, "That's not a good sign. If it's non-contact, you know it's bad." I thought it was going to be Achilles, but what he's got is almost as bad because it would take a long time if he needs surgery.
What is it? A plantar fasciitis, or
no? It's some I forget what they call it, ligament something, and it's something where if it's surgery, it could take into next year, from what my son was telling me. I didn't really get time to look into it, but Flus said today on the press conference that they don't know if he's going to need surgery, so they don't know really till the swelling all goes down and they can really examine. They're not 100% sure yet, so.
That would have been an interception too. It looked like he was going for that interception.
Yeah, I mean, it was
and then it turns into a touchdown, and he's out for the season. By the way, another team captain. Quan was a team captain. I imagine Quinn was a team captain.
Oh,
you lose
for sure.
those guys. Eddie's the leader on the team. There's a lot of young players.
So somebody's got to step up now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's going to do that.
And what a perfect time. Right before the fucking Packers.
I know. This is the one game that I really want to win. It's like, and then you see, the big, prima donna get hurt in the game on Sunday night. He's like, oh, my ribs. Blah, blah, blah. But he says he's playing.
Oh, now he's like, oh, it's the Bears. I'm
I plan.
And they're down all these players. I'm going to go out there and own them again. He's
Well,
like, I
that's
got to
what he
keep
thinks.
my owning streak going.
Well, and they can run too. They're they're not as good as us in running, but they got an average of I think it was 121 yards a game, Green Bay. So, our defense, as I've said, cannot stop a toddler from crawling. I mean, they just that defensive line is
Thank you, J-Rock.
atrocious. Oh,
Yeah, it is. It's terrible. It's
I mean, I don't even really see anybody I mean, every once in a while you see a flash here and there, but there is no consistency on the defensive line or the linebackers. Sanborn is the closest to a consistency, and he's still got learning to do.
right.
Right. And
Right.
So it's like, I know that when we plug in better players around some of the guys that are there now, they're going to be better next year. But right now you're like, who's going to make this team next year on the defensive line? I mean,
Well, how many sacks does this team have?
we only have God, I just wrote it down today. Oh, my brain. 15 maybe?
Yeah, it's like
not many. It's well under 20. 15 or 13. I just can't remember. I think it's 15.
It's like
and the Packers have 24. So, we don't know. And some of those came before these guys left.
Mm-hmm.
And, because we were sacking in the beginning and then we kind of stopped,
Mm-hmm.
and although Jack Sanborn has 2, I mean, this kid
played his lights out. Yeah.
He has got, I mean, what has he got? I wrote it down. He's got 48 tackles, 29 solo, 12. Yeah, here we go. 12, 2 sacks and a almost interception. I'm counting that interception because the penalty took it away.
15 tackles.
Yep. He is.
I mean, no wonder why they were like, we can just trade Roquan.
Right. I mean, the kid, Sanborn isn't super fast. He's just not yet. Now, that doesn't mean he can't develop into it, but from what I'm seeing, his knowledge of football, because he seems to be around every play, whether he's involved or not. I noticed that on Sunday that you saw 57 around the ball all the time. He kind of tackled a few times too high. Got to get him lower. That's the thing I saw a lot in the Bears on Sunday was a lot of high tackles. And Coach Flus preaches waist and below because that's how you're going to get him down. And to me, the high tackles means tired.
Yep.
That's the way I look at it. Seriously.
You're right.
And with Sanborn, it's a little bit more. He's not really tired because he only played 4 games, but that's youth, But the fact that he has stepped up is a good sign. We might have a diamond in the rough, you know what I mean? An undrafted player.
Yep, from Illinois.
And it
from right by where we grew up.
And I mean, yes, he went to Lake Zurich High School, so homegrown. That would be a pretty cool story, So I'm wishing him the best, but he's a bright spot. I mean, right now,
I remember when they signed him at undrafted free agency, and it was like, oh, this kid could be, something, one of those players that makes the team.
Right.
And now here he is, 15, 12, 10 tackles a game, he's right up there at 1 or 2 in tackles since he's been the starter.
He really has.
One game.
Definitely stepped
the Falcons game.
Yes. And he had an interception, which we know, but we got called back because of the penalty. But I'm telling you, that was, and he's going to have more, though. So because
had they given that to him, that would have changed the game, and we probably would have won that game.
Oh, hands down would have won that game. The momentum alone. Because if you recall in that game, so we got that, they got to keep it. And then I forget, there was a couple plays they scored. And then we stopped them. That's why we were down there. We stopped them on 4th down, but they were down on like the 5-yard line. And then what happens? He throws an interception for a touchdown Fields. We keep that interception.
Right.
He doesn't throw that interception.
Right.
So one leads to the other. Right.
Exactly.
So
the momentum swing didn't change, so it kept going in the Lions' favor.
Yeah. Exactly. So that was a tough one. That really was, and I don't know.
It's just nice to see him playing so well as a young kid. Yeah, he's not Brian Urlacher, but
No,
Whenever I
no.
think of Brian Urlacher, I think of a guy that's in on every tackle. You see him in the frame on every tackle. And
Well,
that's what
yes.
Sanborn is very similar to at Urlacher in that fashion. You're seeing him on every play or
Yes.
near the play or about to get
That's
into play.
exactly
He's
what I'm
around the
saying.
ball all the time.
Yeah, yeah, Urlacher was side to side fast. This kid
Right,
is not side to side fast. That was the
right,
thing that stood out for Urlacher was his speed was
right,
incredible. And
right.
so as I and you know he's not super tall, but that's not a real big issue if you make up for other ways. So, but he's not going to be Urlacher speed, but he could still ratchet up next year. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he changes his. You know, they sometimes they lose a little weight, you know, here and there, and they grow some
He
more
could work on some
muscles.
speed training, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
even David Montgomery gained some speed with speed training. So
Yes. So you
it's
just don't
possible.
know. The
Mm-hmm.
possibilities are endless for this kid, I believe. So bright
When you have
spot.
the nose to the ball like that, that's really all that matters
Right. Yes.
in the
Yes.
NFL.
And the fact that he's, you know, this is his team he grew up with loving. How cool is that? So you know he's going to play his heart out. You just know it, and he's appreciative that he was drafted. You know, so there's a lot of things in here, and
Well, he
so
wasn't drafted, but he's
I
appreciative he
mean,
was picked
the
up by
Bears
the
signed him.
Bears. Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
meant to say. Right. Hey, man, I'm old and I'm sick. Leave me alone. God, Dan.
I don't mean to correct you. I'm sorry.
I'm just messing with you, my friend. So yeah, we'll have to see. But that game, I mean, really, it took the wind out of everybody's sails. And I was saying on my show Monday, I'm like, so if you think the fans feel bad, can you imagine what the players must be feeling? I mean, week in and week out, you know, and they're thinking we're going to get better. We're going to get better. Then two of their best players go down. You know, Fields is hurt. You know, they're just like, you know, I
I
don't.
know. Did you
It's
did
got
you
to be
hear?
tough.
Did you see the DeAndre Houston Carson interview? Uh,
No.
at the podium yesterday.
Uh-uh.
They were just asking him about what is it? How does it feel? To have lost all these games. These last 5 games in a row. And he's just saying he doesn't think about that stuff. He just thinks about doing his job and trying to make his teammates better and make himself better in every play. But you could see the dejection in his face when he was up there talking, because I don't even know if that's the first. I think that's the first time I might have ever. Probably not the first, but he's rarely ever at the podium
You're
talking.
Right.
So
What
now
does
we
that
have
tell you?
right now. No, he's our defensive leader. Is
I
what it
know.
tells
It's
you.
like, okay, now that's when you know, and nothing, no disrespect to the kid, but that's not a good sign, right? But,
Right.
you know, I respect him and I give him a lot of for saying that, but
DHC, yeah.
I don't know if I really believe it, you know, because
Yeah.
come on, I know that they're professionals and they should play they're being paid. So yes, but they're human too, regardless of what, you know, we want them to be. They are still put their pants on like the rest of us every day, you know.
And
So
that's kind of what he was also talking about is, there's more to football. There's life in football, and it's about the
yes,
relationships and the community that you build and the locker room and everything.
yes,
And, as long as all those things are good, then you don't really look at the losing
right.
like the outside world does. You look at it as we're building something
Because
here,
they're
and
brothers in
we're
that locker
building a
room.
right.
That I always thought that, you know, I mean, I watch baseball. I don't watch basketball, so I can't speak for that. But I think out of all the sports, football players seem to be the tightest to me. They are so close and they're so, you know, into family because they all start early, it seems like. They're all having 1,000 kids before they get in the NFL. And, you know, but they are very close. But we got to give a lot of credit to Coach Flus because he's got these guys. Like, here's an example. I know everybody heard before that game last Sunday that Trevor, backup quarterback who was supposed to start, hurt his oblique muscle, right? And they're like, oh, great, Peterman's going to start. Oh, my God, that just sent shockwaves through the whole state of Illinois, right? I felt it here in Vegas. And so he said, I thought this was the coolest thing. So obviously he went in and got shot up and played. He said after the game, there's no way. He goes, I was so embarrassed to get hurt in warmups. He goes, there was no freaking way I was going to sit out that game when there's guys playing in this game that are banged up, so banged up, but they're still out on that field, not complaining a word. So that to me says a lot about the players we've got and the coaching staff.
Yeah,
because
that's kind of what I felt from that
yeah,
when all of a sudden he was starting again. It was like,
yeah,
okay, this he wants to come out there and compete for his team. Plus, he probably you hit your mic again. Plus, he probably sensed the fear in the locker room of
yes,
freaking Nathan Peterman being the starter, and just you might as well just
exactly.
hand the team 4 interceptions.
Oh, it would have been like 61-10, if that guy
Yeah.
had been in there. Well, no, not 61. Well, maybe, with interceptions. God only knows. I mean,
I have no confidence in Nathan Peterman. I'm sorry, Nathan
no. Well,
Peterman.
did you see
I
that
know
they
you're
went
in the
and
NFL, and
they got another backup quarterback today? Tim Boyle. Do you remember him?
oh yeah, from the Packers.
Yep. Yep.
Huh.
Now he was on the Detroit's practice squad, so the Bears signed him today because obviously they don't have a lot of confidence in Peterman, and he played under Luke with the Packers.
Luke doesn't get it.
Yep, Luke doesn't get it, which I'm back to that again. I'm sorry because his play calling is just so gosh darn. I don't like to say the word with God. Just so predictable. I mean,
Yeah.
Trent Difford said the other day, I could learn that offense in one day. That is just not a good sign, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it is true. It's just too vanilla. And well, and some of in my opinion, in that Atlanta game,
Uh-huh.
um, not Atlanta.
Oh, it was the
Yes,
Atlanta game.
Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta. That Fields should have been out sooner and he didn't take him out because he was banged up. I know Fields probably like, I want to play, but then don't run the fucking ball.
Well, it
You
was
know?
when I was doing the tape breakdown of that towards the end of the game, he ended up calling 2 separate screenplays, one to the left, one to the right, and they both broke down in sacks.
Yep.
And I think one was to Ebner and to the right, and then the next one was to no, it couldn't have been to Herbert. So it was to
No, it
Ebner
wasn't
again.
Herbert. Yeah,
So
right.
they were both to Ebner. One was to the it was a screen pass to the right to Ebner, and the other one was to the left to Ebner. And you know how a screenplay works. You have to
Yeah.
you allow everyone to just rush to the quarterback like you're going to get sacked, and then that
Yeah,
opens
you
up
want them to over pursuit, and
the
yeah,
offensive
right.
linemen go out to get the blocking set up, and it just broke down two times in a row. And I was
And
like,
then
I was thinking, why the hell did he run that play two
I know
times
it.
in a row with?
That's it. So, he had some flashes there a couple, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and then now he's back to his bullshit again. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not digging this guy at all. Like I said in the Luke doesn't get it because he just doesn't. And speaking of what's his name? Ebner?
Treston Ebner.
He's 25. He didn't show me nothing in that game at all. And then last week they put that new guy in, 21 Evans, who
Darrington
gets
Evans.
34 yards. Now he showed me more.
And I was wondering why they didn't bring him up when Khalil went down for 4 games. I would have thought
What
that's the first
we
thing they
were
would do.
saying. We're like, why didn't they bring him up sooner? So I'm sure they're wondering that themselves. And
Yeah. He
and,
still fits the mold of a Khalil Herbert-ish type
Yeah.
player. He's that 1-2 punch still to Montgomery.
and he had a good day. He did
It was
34
nice to see him
yards.
in-
Not
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll take it, as the second guy, and the Jets are good at stopping the run. So
Well, yeah, almost 4 yards a carry.
Yep, and 34 yards. And in the Jets, the only reason they are because their defense is good. So their offenses, but he did, and I want to see what he's got this week too. I don't want 25 in there. Leave him. You put him on special teams. I don't care. Let's give 21 Evans another shot this week. See what he's got. Right? We got to.
Man, if we could have just gotten Garrett Wilson in that draft, their wide receiver, that was Justin Fields, wide receiver at Ohio State. Oh, that would have been nice. Or Chris Olave, that would have been nice too.
Now, I don't think because I was off last week, I didn't talk about this, but with Fields and his throwing, that was the other thing that Trent Dilfer was saying is that, and I totally agree because I've been talking about this on my show, that, they got to get him passing more. They got to get him passing more. And he said, and I thought this was really a good statement. He said, the Bears have got to start throwing. And he said, in particular, to Claypool. He said, because if you want free agent wide receivers to want to even come to the Bears, you better show them that you mean to pass.
Right. Yep. Damn right. And Trevor Siemian told Claypool before the game, like, listen, I'm going to be throwing you those 50-50 balls.
Well, he
man.
did have a good day. Yeah. He was finally used, and I like that. And then where is Harry, number 8?
No idea.
Why is he not playing? We went and got this guy, and he's not playing. I don't even think he's active.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, he's going to be out there now because we're down some receivers.
Well, yeah, and see, he got hurt in the beginning, so he missed the first 3 games, and then he came, and then they put him in a couple games. They barely used him, and now I haven't seen him at all.
Well, so I was kind of worried about this because I'm looking at this list of injuries, and we have limited Justin Fields. We can get that in a minute. Wide receiver, particularly right now. Let's talk about receiver. Chase Claypool is out limited with a knee.
Right.
Injured reserve is Darnell Mooney.
Yep, he's done for the year. Yep.
And now we have, not to mention leader like we talked about.
Yep.
And then we have Dante Pettis. It's an illness, so he'll probably play this weekend.
He'll play.
And then doubtful is Velus Jones Jr. So, if they don't put Harry in this game, I don't know. Things are going to get hairy.
Yeah, they were going to get fucking hairy because I'm going to be pissed. I mean, I said that. I'm like, where is he? I mean, you go and get him in the off season, but you're not playing him. Do they know something we don't know? But they don't even talking about him. So it's like, what is going on? So that's something to look for. But
and J Rock is saying that Fields needs to throw more 50-50 balls. He's right.
Yes.
He does.
Yes.
He's getting better. He's getting better. In the beginning
and it
of the
doesn't
season,
matter at this point. Even if they do get a reception, believe me, I don't want to. But at this point, we're completely out of it. So let's take I'd rather him get these out of his system practice this season than doing it next September. We don't
develop
want
the passing game. Try to get the passing game developed more this last few games and stop focusing on him running the ball, even though he could break a record, which would be nice to see.
But we don't need that. That's not what we signed him for. I mean, it's a perk,
right?
But we can see already he's already hurt because of it.
Right. And that's what scares me. And this is kind of what I talked about on Monday night. Is it possible that that maybe this, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, that polls might be thinking, hey, if we end up with the second pick in the draft, and let's just say Bryce Young from Alabama is sitting there, maybe polls values him more as a passing quarterback than Justin Fields. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. I don't want it to happen. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I get you.
Maybe he trades Justin Fields instead of trades that second pick and trades down. Maybe he takes Bryce Young and then trades Fields for a boatload of picks. And then they move on with someone that's more of a pocket passer, even though he's 6 foot something. If he's 6'1", I'd be surprised. But he throws a nice ball. I'll give him that.
Bryce Young. Yeah. I'm not a big fan, but I get your point. At this point, anybody who's going to be the top 5 quarterback coming out, I get what you're saying. But and the other thing to what you just said is they did not draft him. They came into him. Mm-hmm. So we're not sure if do they love him? Don't they?
I would find it hard to believe that they don't love him. I mean,
I agree.
Clearly a leader.
But I get, and if the Bears did do that, oh my God, if they didn't go and get either an offensive lineman or a defense, I think they're going to get a defensive lineman first. The town would go crazy. I mean, freaking crazy. The reporters, I don't know what would happen, but because there's some good defensive linemen out there right now, from what I'm seeing. I'm just starting to dabble in what's coming out of college, and there are some good ones. And so I'm almost positive they'll take a defensive guy over an offensive lineman in the first round. I think that'll come.
If they end up with the second pick, I can almost guarantee you they'll be trading down because who was it that mentioned it? I think it was some of the 2 guys on the score in Chicago. They mentioned that there's like 3 teams that have multiple picks in the first round, including the Lions, the Seahawks, and another team.
Yep.
And like the Lions, they with the Rams pick, which could be the 3rd or 4th pick in the draft.
I know
their own pick, which could be 10, 12.
And here they thought that was going to be a shitty pick, right? Now it's turning out to be,
But would the Bears trade that to the Lions? I mean, I know the Lions like to trade with the Vikings. They've been doing lots of trades with the Vikings lately.
which is
I
really
don't know if the
surprising
Bears
within
will.
your division. That doesn't usually happen, right? But
Right.
hey, the
But that would be
Lions,
the value pick. It is if the Lions did not trade those 2 picks to get Bryce Young, and the Bears were confident that Bryce Young wasn't going to be good. That's like a double-edged sword because they could end up getting something good out of those Lions picks, or giving the Lions a quarterback that could be awesome. Who knows? I mean, you never know.
well, and I think they want a core. I don't think that Jared Goff is the answer for them. I don't think they think so because they're close like us. I was saying that on my show, even though they lost on Thanksgiving, they sure gave it their try. Boy, they were in that game, and they played Buffalo. So Buffalo's a good team, even though the quarterback's hurt. They still won, but I was saying, you know what? Their tide is turning with them too. And what I'd love to see and the next couple of years, I'd love it no more. I would love it to be Bears and Detroit fighting and leave the other two out of it.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be fun.
It would be a blast because we got a feel for
it's
Detroit.
It's not something we're used to seeing. That'd be an interesting.
It could be. And, they've been bad. They're worse than us. I don't think they've ever won a Super Bowl. So,
they haven't won a Super Bowl. They won a championship, I think, in the 50s.
Yeah, but that's no Super Bowl, Yeah. And so it would be kind of fun. So, I am impressed the way they're going. So
am
they're very well going to go. I think they're going to go for a quarterback. I do, because I don't think Goff is their answer. I don't think they think it is. Because they're so close. And I've said, till they figure out that quarterback thing. And if they get better, they're never going to have a shot, so.
J-Rex says the Lions are not trading up. I think that they might, because if they can get a quarterback in this draft and then have him sit behind Goff one more year, that would make that quarterback better. And Goff has been playing better
he has. Team. He's just not really consistent, and that's why the Rams got rid of him, I think they thought, the rumor was they said he was stupid, but I mean.
Yeah. Who? Oh, Goff or Bryce Young?
No, Goff. Oh. That's why the Rams got rid of him. That he's not all that intelligent up there.
Got a little Trubisky in him.
Yeah, exactly. No, more like, and I love him, but Devin Hester was not the sharpest bulb in the pack. But do not get me wrong. I mean, I don't mean to be that way, but it's just a fact, right? But before we get off that, I wanted another person mentioned Leatherwood, and here's another guy that's starting to raise eyebrows. And somebody was asking, they were asking about him a lot in today's press conference.
Leatherwood?
Yeah, if he's going to get more playing time. Yep.
There's a lot of chatter in chat right now about what's going on at right tackle. J-Rock thinks that Tevin Jenkins starts at right tackle because look at this injury list. We have Larry Borum and
But I don't know if they want to move him again. You know what? They finally got him settled.
Yeah.
And, it took so long, right? I mean, I don't know if you want to mess with that. Maybe put Leatherwood at right tackle, see what happens. I mean, this is just right now to get us through the rest of the season. This isn't written in stone stuff, right? So, but I'm not sure I'd mess with Jenkins because he seems to be a bit of a head case. So, I don't know.
Who's going to play right tackle?
I know. I don't know.
He's the most experienced person we have.
I need to go suit up. Oh, wait a minute. I'm already on the injured reserve. I can't do that. Who is that? I mean, who is that lady out there?
They would be better off starting Jenkins at right tackle right now and then putting either Schofield at right guard, although he seemed to play better at left guard, we only saw him at right guard in preseason, which he was terrible at, but he played well at left guard. If he doesn't play at right guard, then maybe Leatherwood comes in and plays right guard with Jenkins at right tackle. And then, holy shit, maybe there's something that happens there. You're like, wait a minute, this is a great offensive line minus our shitty center. And then
right, yeah, forget the center. And there's another bust of a sign, right? I'm sorry, but we signed Patrick in the offseason, and what does he play? He only played his position a quarter this year. And now he's out for the rest of the year because he hurt his head, have toe surgery. I mean, I don't know. You know what?
We've all been about Mustafa all season long, and now we're stuck with him for the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly. And and for the quarter that Patrick was actually in the position we signed him for, the Bears' offense line looked kind of good for one quarter. Mm-hmm. Because, he was out there, you saw him pointing, helping Justin, because that's why they Bears signed him. And
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God.
And Tiff says 9 of 10 polls signings have been a bust. The signings haven't been that great. The draft picks have been
No.
better than the
Okay, yeah, because
signings.
I was
But
gonna say the draft was good. You're right. They have not. And
mm-hmm.
that's the thing. So he's going to be very cautious then in this offseason, even though they got a shit ton of money, but he's got to be careful. We don't need any more busts. We just don't. Hey, there's my buddy.
Yeah, there's your buddy Collins K85. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for watching, my friend. He's a good guy. Good guy. Good guy. And yeah, so I don't know. We'll see in the offseason. But they do have a lot. And then have you been hearing the rumors about Barkley coming to the Bears? I mean,
Saquon Barkley?
yes. First of all, people don't know what they're talking about because they've already picked up his 5th-year option. So he's not going anywhere. So it's like, first of all, you're stupid if you don't know he had a 5th-year option because he was the top 10 pick.
Right.
So he gets a 5th-year option. They've already picked it up.
Anyone in the round gets a 5th-year option.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he, no, not the first round. The whole first round?
Anyone in the entire first round gets the 5th-year
Oh, I thought it was only top 10. Yeah. Okay, well, regardless, he's already been picked up for his 5th year. So I'm like, this talk has got to stop. And secondly, even if he wasn't, I don't want him. I'm also a believer that, and I think I've told you this before, that, running backs nowadays don't last like they used to because I believe the colleges are running these guys too much.
Right.
I don't know if they had back in the day, 20 years ago plus, they weren't allowed to run them. They had so many they were yard, or now they can, but they run them to death. And so by the time they get to the NFL, they only got about 4 or 5 good seasons in them. And you see a lot of these guys are already gone that were came in 5-6 years ago. They're not even in the league anymore.
I can agree with some of what you're saying there, but I think let's go back to Walter Payton in college. They ran the ball out of fucking throats.
I know, but Walter Payton was.
Let's look at Frank Gore when he went to Miami, the U of Miami. They ran the ball down their.
I mean, there is exceptions.
He had 2 knee injuries, one on each knee.
Yes,
and he played 14 seasons. He's now the 3rd leading rusher in the NFL.
Yep, and these guys played. They didn't, run 3 times and sit out for 4. Right. They didn't tap their helmet. I got to come out. Walter, I don't think he even knew what that meant. Come on. I mean, so I totally agree. I'm not saying that's all of it, but it seems to be some of it. Now, of course, there's exceptions. Yes, you had Frank Gore, Walter. Well, Walter is just all by himself. You can't even count him in a normal. He was phenomenal. And there was, there's somebody else off the top of my head, but, and then you could do the flip side too. They should stick with their teams because look what Le'Veon Bell left Pittsburgh and his career went right in the tank. Yep. All for the money.
Mm-hmm.
And if he had stayed
something good going with that team. Yep.
If he had stayed in Pittsburgh, he would have made it up in endorsements.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry. I just have to address Don Burr here. Don, if you just jumped in, you missed the praise we were giving for the Lions. So I'm sorry that you jumped in late.
Yeah, Don. You know what? And Don, by the way, you were looking for him a few weeks ago. I found him. He signed up for my show.
Oh, did he? He's coming on your show now, huh?
Well, no, he's one of my subscribers. I'm like, there you are, Don. I found you. You're listening to Lynn.
He has to subscribe to you, so he knows when to go on your show and talk shit in your comments.
Yeah. So no, but I praised after we played them. I said, it's a good team. They're coming up. They went on a 3-game winning streak thanks to the Bears, and and they did beat the Packers, which we haven't been able to do yet. Mm-hmm. So I don't know,
they beat the Packers more than we have recently, I think.
Well, the Packers and the Bears organizations right now are actually tied with the most wins in the NFL. Right now, we're tied.
Oh, we're tied. Are you serious?
The organizations from 1921 to date.
Oh, fuck. I didn't
And there was
realize
only 2 seasons we did not play each other since 1921, and that was 1922. I don't know why, and 1982 was the strike. We have played twice every year since, and right now we're tied.
Yeah. I'm speechless.
I know it. Does that suck or what? So first,
God damn it!
First George Ellis gets passed over by what's his name? New England, Bill Belichick.
Yeah. This
And
season.
then now this. I was right, and I was babysitting my grandson today. He was napping, so I'm writing my notes for my show, and I looked that up, and I'm like, oh no.
Oh
so,
God,
so this game
that's
on Sunday's even more than it was before. So
that's why Rodgers is playing.
I know it is. You know darn well it is, that jerk.
He's like, I have an injured rib. This team is depleted.
And he has a broken thumb too now. Don't forget the thumb.
Right. But I'm going to go out there and play anyway and get this win.
I know. Well, Justin Fields, I did see him say, I want to play in the Packer game. So at least he gets the rivalry. I hope they're talking about that in Illinois. I'm sure they are. But our defense, I believe we could outscore them. I still believe we could, because they're still having drops. He doesn't have that, that they had before, where he could just throw anything and his receivers caught it no matter what, right? He don't got that right now. But our defense is so embarrassing. And now if Brisker and Gordon don't come out of concussion protocol, we're really screwed, because in my opinion, we missed them greatly in that 31-10 loss. We've talked about them a lot each week, how they've improved, and Brisker particularly is going to be with the Bears a long, long time. I know it. He's awesome. And Gordon he's gotten better and better. He made some mistakes early on, but he's learning from them, right? So I don't believe it would have been 31 points if they had both been in that game last week. I just don't. I say they still win, but for God's sake, the Packers aren't going to win the playoffs, go into the playoffs. The playoffs? What do you mean the playoffs?
Yeah. J-Rock says Rodgers thinks Packers can win out and make the playoffs. I'm sure he does.
Not going to happen, Rodgers, okay? I mean, Detroit might pass them up and be a wild card. They have a better shot. Oh, God. Did I just do it again? Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. They have a better shot than Green Bay, in my opinion. Of course, I don't know who they're playing, but see, our schedule's tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
from here on out, yeah.
Green Bay, Philadelphia, the Bills, Detroit, and Minnesota. The only good thing is, out of those 5 games, 4 out of 5 are at home.
Right.
The Detroit game is the only one that's not. So that helps them a little, but I'd like to see Fields, if he could play, he's playing. He's playing.
I hope he's okay to play this game.
I know. And see, I'm real torn right now, because you know what? I'm glad he didn't play last week. I didn't want him playing. Even before he got hurt, when I saw those 32 sacks, I'm like, don't play him. Don't play him. And but I want to beat Green Bay so freaking bad. It's just, but let's just say, for the giggles of it, we beat Green Bay. That the prima donna is going to be like, towards the end of the game, he's going to be like, and he's going to be sucking his thumb, and he's going to be going, oh, my ribs, my thumb. And he's going to go, that's why we lost.
So you think we're going to win?
You know what? I think.
Are you just hoping for a win?
I'm looking for a win, but somehow in my heart, I think we're going to get one, because everybody's so down and out right now that I just think now this is only if Fields starts. If Fields doesn't start, then forget it. But I don't know. I don't know. This could be the one. This will be the last win we get, if we get one, I think. I mean, I picked 5-12. I was a little more realistic than you were, my love, but I'm not even sure at this point. We might, this could be 3-14.
We could be 14. We could be 3-14. Right. We could be.
That gives us the second pick in the draft. But, and that's another person said to me on my show. He wrote and he said, I don't know why all you Bears fans want wins. We just get better draft picks. And I wrote to him, because it's football, man. You want to win. It's not about the draft picks when you're playing in the season. I'm sorry, it's not. And the players don't look at it. The coaches don't. They want to win. We want them to win.
And you're not guaranteed anything with a high draft pick. Look at the Lions.
No, you're not. We know that.
I mean, they drafted a wide receiver like 3 years in a row, and only one of them stuck. It's
right.
Like.
Yeah, and Mitchell's not here. Okay, right. So and he's not starting anywhere. Although I like Mitchell, and I hate using it as an example. Sorry, Mitch. But you know, but yeah, so that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you get what you
Right.
drafted.
Zach Wilson has been benched.
Mhm.
Trey Lance has a blown knee or whatever happened to him this
He
year.
broke his ankle. Yeah,
I mean,
leg, whatever.
so
Yeah,
it's like,
actually, out of that draft class, I think Fields is like on top, isn't he?
yeah, he's like the best quarterback out of that draft so far.
I know maybe not yards wise, but I think percentage and running. I mean, the whole package. I think he's
Mac Jones has better stats and a little bit better PR.
yeah.
But
Well,
like,
look who he's with. You know,
Justin Fields is doing better than Trevor Lawrence, who was
right?
he was
Yes.
battling with in high school and college as the number 1, number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's him and Mac Jones right there, exactly. Yeah. And they went 11 and 12 in the draft. So in the first round, they went. You know, they got him right after we took Fields, because I thought the Bears might have taken Mac Jones, but
me too.
I thought, well, he's a lot like Mitchell was in some ways. Maybe they didn't want to take that chance, but this is a new regime. So, you know, I wasn't sure because I thought that could happen, because I didn't know the Bears were going to go up that high, you know, and when it happened, believe me, I was like, you know, shocked.
Part of me almost thinks that I'm going to have to say the word Nagy.
I'm not even going to get into that. I have zero thought.
Almost wanted Mac Jones over Justin Fields, and then Pace drafted Fields, maybe.
I think you're right.
Or something, and then he was like, "Well, fuck it, I'm not going to play. I'm just going to sit him."
Well,
and I'm not going to do everything that I can to prove that this isn't the guy that I wanted.
Well, yeah, and he certainly tried, and it certainly looked like it there. I mean, he did his darn best to ruin it, and it worked. And it also got him fired.
You couldn't have two more polar opposite quarterbacks than Nick Foles and Justin Fields.
No, none. Well, Nick Foles. Jesus Christ.
I know.
You know,
that's what I want to see. Like this year, if they can get a boatload of picks, if they end up with a high pick and they can trade down and get a few more picks out of this, another 5, 6 picks like they did last year, I could see them drafting I would hope that they would draft a quarterback late who kind of has the same skill set as Justin Fields, that they can develop as a quality second round or second string quarterback to Justin Fields that has the same skill set, so that the offense isn't changing. Because like even we're going from Fields to Simeon, it's an entirely different offense.
Completely, because he's a pocket passer. He's completely different. And he gets rid of the ball faster. But, well, and you're right.
Look at last year when we played the Ravens and Lamar Jackson was down and they put in that backup who was, he might as well have been Lamar Jackson 0.2.
Yep, yep.
And they beat us with him.
Yes.
So if we need someone like that we can draft and develop to be a second stringer, same skill set.
I think they'll only do that if you're right, if they get extra picks. Now, if they're just stuck with the 8 they have, they're going to have to go with what they need, you know. But if they get extra, and I don't know the quarterback class this year. I mean, I do know, you know, I've been seeing, because I watch a lot of college, but I don't know who's coming out and this and that. So I haven't even begun to get into that. Very little, except for defensive line.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to sit here and think I know much about. I get into the season's over, and I don't really watch college football.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, look at on Saturday, Blue. Michigan beat Ohio State. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. 2 years in a row. Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh finally doing it, huh?
Yeah. And he made a nice bonus $1 million for that game. So, because he took a pay cut last year. They restructured his contract because he wasn't doing so well, but now he's making it up in all the wins. And I guess he gets like another $1 million, I think, if he wins on Saturday, the Big Ten, which I'm pretty sure he's playing Purdue, so it'll probably happen. But
I heard he did something like he took whatever they were restructuring it with or whatever, and he divided that up amongst all of his staff.
Assistants. Yes. And
pretty cool.
Well, he had his brother had an assistant. He wasn't the D coordinator. He was assistant to him 2 years ago, and he sent him to Michigan to play under Jim Harbaugh, and he was Jim Harbaugh's head defensive coordinator. And he got his learning, and then he went back now he's with the Ravens again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he
Cool.
got the defense good in
Mhm.
Michigan, and then he went back last year to the Ravens. I know it's crazy. They're like flapping him around, the two brothers, you know.
I'll use him for a while. You take him for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're done, send him back here.
I know we're talking NFL, but I just had to say that about Michigan. I'm pretty happy about that. So it was a great game. So go blue. But
So what,
yeah,
you're not
so
an Illini fan?
you know what? I'm a Big Ten fan. I follow the Big Ten very closely.
I was
I
giving you
was
shit.
really happy the Illini did do as well as they did this year. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has been a while.
They've been bad. So, you know, they were looking good, and then they lost a game they shouldn't have lost, and I forget who it was too. Gosh, I forget. It was what, 3 weeks ago, and they should have won it, and that kind of
Penn
changed
State or
the
something?
tide. What?
Penn State or something?
No, no. Penn State's got a good record. They're good. It was somebody that was worse than Michigan, and they lost. Maybe it was Indiana, but it was somebody had a worse record, like a losing record, where Illinois got a winning record, and they lost, and then everything just kind of. But they got a really good running back. Illinois does a really good running back.
Oh, I know. I have.
Yep.
My buddy is a huge Illini fan, and he has been just
going on this guy. Yeah, that's the reason they're winning. Really is the running backs really help them. But so we'll see what comes out. You know, I just don't know. I see what you're saying. We'll have to see. You know, obviously the draft's going to be huge, and free agency. That's what we have to look forward again to. Last year we were all pretty excited. Last year, well, this year is even going to be more. But the thing I think, going into 2023 though, is Poles particularly is going to have, and I know it's only his second year, but he's going to have an awful lot to prove in this second year. Because they're banking on it, because he didn't do a lot in the first year. He drafted, but he didn't go get a lot of free agents. He did, but not the ones that we would have preferred. They didn't want to take any real high risk dollar chances yet. Right. So now he knows what he's got or doesn't have. And this year, between the draft and the free agency, I think he's really on the hot seat. I mean, he's not going to get fired. Don't get me wrong. I just mean there's going to be a lot of people saying, okay, let's see what you got now. It's been a year. Right. You're not a rookie anymore. Right. And then once he's done, then that's going to fall on the coach. Now it's your turn. Now you got to we gave you the players you need now. This is 23. And let's see what you can do. So I think both Poles and Coach Flus are going to have a big prove-it year. Not contract-wise, but you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, when you consider what had to be done with this team, you know, they were so cap-stricken and they weren't going anywhere, and they had to make the Mac trade. They had to make the Quinn trade.
They had to.
They didn't have to make the Roquan trade, but when you're looking at the value you're getting from Sanborn, the numbers on paper are the same.
Right.
But when you're that strapped, you have to go out and sign a bunch of guys to 1-year prove-it deals and see who sticks.
You do.
You're just throwing darts at the wall and seeing what sticks, and then you can take the ones that land close to the center of the bullseye, and you can re-sign those guys next year. And
that's exactly right.
Then you restock in the draft again. If they can get, another 5 or 6 picks in this draft year, like they did last year,
right?
That's going to be crucial for this team moving forward.
And you get a couple, maybe let's just say 3 for the giggles of it. I'd like more, but if you could get 3 solid free agents, whether they'd be wide receiver, defensive line, offensive line, or a linebacker, you'd be golden, right? And then you build around that, and then you're right. Then you can sign them later, longer, and so it's going to be interesting to see what's.
It's going to be a hell of an offseason.
It really is. We were excited about last, but that's nothing. This is the one that's really going to be. Well, what does he mean by that?
He was saying that we were an old and cap-strapped team before
but
we.
Not anymore, right? Right. Not
Right.
anymore. They say we've got the most money. Of course, we still got to re-sign some players. Like they got to decide if they want Montgomery, which I think they should bring him back. I can't see that he'd be asking a lot. He's good. He's not great, but he's good. But he's a runner, he's a blocker, and he's a receiver. Right now, he's second because Mooney's out now. He's the second most on the receivers. No, it's not. No, he's not. He moved down. That's right. But he's got like 234. I'm wrong. He's not second, but close, because let's face it, Clement is first right now because Mooney's gone.
Oh my God! Right.
our
That's true.
tight end. I know. What does that say, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
And he doesn't have. I mean, the
No.
statistics for our receiving core is just
not
terrible.
for the receiving core, for a tight end. Yeah, he's having a nice year, but
Yeah,
nice, not great, which he should
Yeah.
be, but he's getting there. But
right.
he's not a receiver,
I know.
So it's like these are the problems, So it'll be really interesting to see. But I want him to re-sign him because I think Montgomery and Herbert, because we got Herbert for 2 more years after this year because he's on his rookie contract. You got those two. You got a good core right there. You don't. They've played with you. They're. It's going to be year 2 because Luke doesn't get it. It's going to be back next year because I don't believe they're going to try to upheave Justin again. That would be his 3rd year in a row with a new OC, and I don't see that happening. I think they'll give Luke doesn't get it 1 more year, and if he doesn't get it next year, they'll ship him out.
Yeah, he'll get it next year.
Yeah, and he better.
He'll get it more. Because you need that consistency in the offense.
That's what and Fields, to his defense, he needs that too because he hasn't had it. So,
right.
If you could get Montgomery and Herbert together, that's consistency again. And he's comfortable with Montgomery because he's thrown to him, got 234 yards. So he's obviously comfortable with him. Really? No.
Tiff.
Mooney's not up on contract this year. It's his 3rd year, isn't it?
This is Mooney's 3rd year, yeah. So they would.
No, he's got another year. He's not up.
Give him 1 more year.
Yeah.
Eddie Jackson is signed for another 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
But Monty is definitely.
Whoever just wrote that, I no disrespect, but I think you're wrong about Jackson and Mooney.
For anyone who's listening in audio stream, Tiff is saying Eddie Jackson, Darnell Mooney, and Monty are all up for contract, and
that's what they said, right?
Another 2 years.
But I don't believe so.
Mooney, we all keep talking about Mooney want that contract because if he had ascended more like we thought he would this year from the last 2 seasons, then you would want to sign him now and not let him hit free agency after the year's end.
Right. So now he's going to have to prove it. He's got to prove it next year. So he's definitely. And if you get a good, solid number 1, we've talked about it. He's a great number 2. Great. He has proved it.
Yes. So Cliff Victoria just got in.
Yes.
Bears QB Tim Boyle from the Lions practice squad doesn't sound good for Justin playing. We did talk about this earlier, Cliff.
Yeah, we did.
But we haven't talked about whether or not Justin is going to play or not.
No.
What do you think is going?
Coach Flus is not saying he won't. I heard him today, and he's like, well, they're like, come on, is he feeling better? And he's like, it's all he kept saying was, it's day to day. He won't say anything. So they will not tell us until game time. They're not going to say at all.
Of course not, right.
No.
And then I think, Cliff, that might just be more for the insurance policy because now we're seeing that quarterback Trevor Siemian did not participate.
Right, because his oblique is hurt. He played with it. They shot him up, but he's hurt. Yeah, that's why they went and got Tim Boyle.
If Fields can't go and Siemian can't go, and then they're stuck with, Nathan interception Peterman.
Yeah.
Then they're going to have as a second string case he gets injured because then we're down to David Montgomery as our quarterback.
Yeah, we don't want that. I mean, no disrespect. I love Montgomery, but no, not as a quarterback, right? And the one person before that who did it before said they should cut Jackson to cut money? No. We have the most cash in the NFL. There is no need to cut a good player, and Jackson is very good. He's had his moments, but he's a solid guy out there. Okay, and with the rookies that Gordon and Brisker, it's only going to get better, and they're probably going to go get more out there in the draft. I mean, in the draft, yes. Anyway, so we'll see. So no, you don't get rid of him.
Cliff, if Cliff is saying Nathan Peterman with Boyle as the backup, if that's the case, Cliff, I'd rather just put Boyle in as the starter and Peterman as the backup. I mean, I'm more confident in Boyle being signed off the street.
Yeah. Well, no, he wasn't. He was with Detroit, but he played.
Oh, the Packers squad, yeah. But
he played under the Packers
4 days
for 2
before the
years
game than I am with Nathan Peterman in the game.
Yeah, because he's played with Luke, so that's why they signed him because he is. So he knows Luke doesn't get it. Mine's. So
yeah, I would rather see you playing quarterback. Lynn,
Who,
than
me?
Nathan Peterman. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm a little short. That won't work. I'm only
Yeah.
5'1".
It doesn't matter. You're a better quarterback than Nathan Peterman. I
Yeah, you're
guarantee you
right.
that.
You're right. You're right. You're right. And maybe I
Yeah,
should
you're
give
right.
George McCaskey a call and say, "Hey, do you want to sign me? You can have me for a week. I won't charge you too much."
$300,000 contract for one game.
Exactly. Come on, man. So I'm 5'1". What's your point?
Just take every free
They
ball and
won't.
just
Hey,
lay down on
look
the
at it this
ground
way.
in the
I'm
fetal
so
position
short they
for
won't even be able to find
$300,000.
me to say.
I think you hit your mic again.
I think I did. I was so excited. Um, yeah. So yeah,
Just
you
take
know
every
what?
snap, lay down in fetal position, collect your $300,000. That's pretty much what Nathan Peterman should be doing too.
Well, and Cliff, we know that it would be
Mhm.
tough to play him because and we know that we're joking, but
Yeah.
is this Cliff Notes?
Yeah, that's Cliff Victoria from
Okay, that's what I thought.
our
Did
Monday
they know
show,
that
yeah.
I might be on the show next week?
No. Cliff, I was trying to get her on Monday, but she wasn't feeling well.
Nah, I was
So-
still on the injured report. Yeah, I wasn't too well, so I'm better. I'm not really coughing that much yet, so I'll probably cough my lungs out after I get over the show. But yeah, I get what he's saying. Hi,
Mhm.
Cliff.
We're
Yeah,
trying to get her on the show next Monday to join us.
yeah, I might, and you know, especially if there's a victory.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, we'll be getting. You won't be able to get. You'll get anybody you want on the show next week if we beat the Packers. I mean, just come on. So I don't know. You know, it's going to be tough because all right. So we know, but we see. The thing is, you know, because you always like to predict. But the thing is, it worries me if Brisker and Gordon don't play, and we don't know.
Mhm.
Because Gordon wasn't on your injury list, but Brisker still was under concussion protocol.
No, yeah, Trevor Simeon.
No,
Dante-
Gordon's not on there. See?
I didn't put Gordon on there.
Well, or you either forgot or he's not in concussion protocol anymore.
Where did I
So,
miss him? 1, 2,
that-
3, 4, 5.
That's a
I
good
guess I
thing,
missed
right?
him. How did I miss him?
Oh, so he is still in percussion protocol.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I
God,
put Kindle.
man.
I put Kindle Vildor twice. What an asshole!
Oh yeah, you sure did.
I
I
proofread
saw
this thing
that,
3
I
times
was
too.
I was like, he's got an ankle and a concussion. What is it? Oh, I see what you did. Yeah, you meant.
I proofread this thing 3 times, man. No, it's did not participate is not.
It should be
Is-
Gordon. Okay,
is,
gotcha.
Yes, is Kyler Gordon.
And Valdor is limited. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Kindle Vildor is limited.
let's just hope they're being cautious because it's protocol, you know, for concussion. But I don't know. We couldn't beat the Packers without those two. I really don't think we can.
We should probably read this off for anyone listening in an audio stream. So the injury report goes like this. Limited is Justin Fields, wide receiver Chase Claypool with a knee, Justin Fields with a shoulder, in case you don't know, wide receiver Chase Claypool with a knee, cornerback Kindle Vildor with an ankle. On injured reserve is Khalil Herbert, Darnell Mooney, and Eddie Jackson. And then did not participate is quarterback Trevor Simeon, which adds the intrigue to the Justin Fields injury and the signing of Tim Boyle. And then wide receiver Dante Pettis with an illness, cornerback Kyler Gordon, not Kindle Vildor, with a concussion, safety Jaquan Brisker with a concussion, right tackle Larry Borum with an ankle/knee, right tackle Riley Reif with the back, and then doubtful is wide receiver Velus Jones with a hamstring. And let's talk about the Packers injury report too.
Yeah, because I don't. Besides, you know, the prima donna, we know what's wrong with him.
Alan Lazard, wide receiver, has an ankle injury. They're all questionable. Left tackle David Bakhtiari has a knee injury. Right tackle Elton Jenkins has a knee injury.
Elton John? What?
Yeah, Elton John. Yeah, Elton Jenkins.
I heard he was retiring. Oh, okay.
Elton Jenkins, or whatever how you pronounce his name, but they're questionable. Excuse me. So usually that means they're going to play.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then you know Rodgers is playing, so
of course he is. You know.
yeah.
Rodgers, you know what? Ugh, I can't stand that man. I don't even know what to say. So
You know?
we all know we want to win. Okay, so
Yeah.
everybody out there, I always give Dan a really hard time because all season he kept saying 11-6, 11-6 before the bottom fell out, and I was just like, oh honey, I hate to tell you that's not going to happen, but so let's see what Dan predicts for Sunday, and this is only if Fields plays. Let's put that star next to it because if it doesn't, then forget it. Nobody knows. So let's just pretend like Fields is playing. Okay.
If Fields doesn't play, it's just a matter of how bad they're going to lose, and then at that
That's
point,
right.
I just
exactly.
I mean, I'm going to say the Bears are going to lose this game. Sorry, I fucking hate.
I should have
saying
put a
that.
seatbelt on. Oh my god! Oh, Jesus!
I'm
Warn
going
me
like
when you do stuff like that.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, Lynn.
This is when you know it's getting bad when Dan says the Bears are going to lose.
I'm going like 34-10.
See, if Fields
Packers.
plays, Dan, we're going to be talking next Monday, and I bet the Bears will win because you just picked them to lose.
You're probably right. It's the old reverse psychology. Remember the one game I picked like Patriots 45-0, and we kicked their ass?
We sure did. And I know what he's saying, or it's J-Rock. I'm sorry. J-Rock, I know what you're saying, but we're just trying.
J-Rock is saying a separated shoulder takes 2 to 12 weeks to heal, and Fields has ligament damage too. That's what worries me is
I know.
I almost don't want him to play.
I know.
Feel like if he's playing,
if it
it's just
any
trying
other
to go out and beat
game-
the Packers, and then they're not going to beat the Packers with this depleted team anyway, and it's almost like why play him then?
Well, if any other game, I'd be like, sit him the rest of the year. I'd be fine with that. It's just the fucking Packers, I guess we're gonna have to wait till next year to embarrass the shit out of Rodgers when we have a solid, healthy team. Because even if we do win, let's just say we win by 1 point or whatever, Rodgers. Well, I was hurt, like I said. He'll be, it'll be, his thumb in his mouth and hurting his ribs, and it's because I was hurt. Of course they won. So it'd be a damned if you do, damned if you don't win.
But it's just I could picture this Weasley little prick after the season because he doesn't see any hope on the team and he's getting old, and we don't get to take the division from them. No,
and that's what I want. Next year to take it from him while he's in there. Well,
that's what I want.
I know that's what everybody wants. My son wants that more than anything. He goes, I want to take it from Rodgers. And I'm like, I get it. Something interesting. I know we got to probably wrap it up. We're talking a lot tonight, but we're making up for last week not being on the air. The NFL channel, they was saying, and I thought this was very interesting. I forgot who was talking about it, but he's like, Rodgers is holding that team hostage because he's got 2 more years after this year with a huge contract. So, because people are like, well, sit him the rest of the year and play Jordan Love.
Right.
And he's like, oh no, and everyone's saying, why not? Let's see what Jordan Love's had. We know he's going to start, but it's like he's holding them hostage and telling them what they can and cannot do.
Oh, and the Packer fans jerking off because Love scored 13 points in 5 minutes in the game there.
He looked pretty damn good in that game. I watched it and I was like, oh, of course they have another good quarterback. I mean,
so, I mean, I could see Rodgers just retiring and just, and just taking that, the one thing that we all want is just to beat him, to take the division from him. Like we finally did Favre, right?
Yeah.
In fact, a Bears ended Favre.
We did.
Nothing was better than that for me.
Nope, me neither.
I don't like talking about injuries, but a Bear ended Favre after the guy, the Iron Man of the NFL who went years without injuries and set the record for, games played by a quarterback.
The thing about Favre is great quarterback, but I didn't despise him as a person like I do Rodgers. I just don't think he's a good person.
Right.
And you've never heard very many good things about him. So it's like, F you. And Favre never put the Bears fans down. He just never did. And I respected him. I don't respect Rodgers. But
you got Rodgers that disowns his family. He doesn't even talk to his parents anymore, and then he's a he's a prick that comes out and says he owns us.
I know.
Yeah.
And did you see that haircut? He looked like a porn star, for Christ's sake. God.
And there was somebody that put an image of him next to oh God, what's his name? The actor.
The guy who played a porn star, Duke Diggler?
No, the guy who was in I can't think of his name, but long hair and he was wearing a wife beater and he looked like I forget who it was.
Okay. Well, but he'll be back. Don't worry. He's not retiring after this season. He's going to come back to try to win one more Super. Now, if he has a shitty season next year, I could see him ending it next year. But so I think the Bears have one last chance to dethrone him. And if they don't do it,
you know what's going to happen? Lamar Jackson's up for a contract, Lynn.
I know.
So then what's going to happen? Lamar Jackson's going to sign this big contract, and then Aaron Rodgers is going to have to get upped because he has to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And so what you're saying, he's going to hamper that team even more. And it might just get to the point where, like, because once a quarterback gets paid and he has to come out and make more money, they might just be like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's why this guy said it. And I thought it was a great line. He said, he's holding them hostage. And it sure looks like it. Yeah. And you're right, because Lamar Jackson is going to want. And, I've mentioned this before. He's his own manager, too. Thank you, J-Rock. Nicholas Cage. Yeah, okay. Ew, I don't like him, so I can see that. Yeah. I'm not a Nick fan.
My wife worked with him on a movie.
Really?
And, yeah. Is
he a douche like he seems to be? Yeah. He looks like a douche. He does. He's a tool.
I won't go into details, but
no, you don't. No, don't, because what your wife says stays in the house. But
absolutely,
yeah, no, I get that. But well, Lamar Jackson's his own manager, so
so now they have him and Roquan. Good luck with that.
That's why I say Roquan will not be with the Ravens next year, because they're not going to deal with two players that they are their own agents. That's the other reason why the Bears traded him, because they knew they weren't going to be able to sign him. Right. They tried and it failed.
Yep.
And they knew it. Forget it. And
that's why I agree
the way
with
he played after they traded Quinn, we knew it. Forget it. So
it
was a good trade.
I have a couple of trivia questions here.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, we got to get going and end this.
I need to get your score prediction.
I don't like doing that, but I'm going to pick the Bears because you picked Green Bay. Now, I have a caveat. This is only a Fields place, which I doubt he will. But what the heck? I'm going to say the score will be 19-14.
Oh.
No, 19-13.
Oh, okay. 35-10 me. I'm saying 35-10 Packers. You're saying 19-13 Bears. I like it. I like it.
Let's hope the weather's crappy on Sunday. That'll help the Bears.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, so what's our trivia?
So this kind of goes along. Well, I shouldn't say that. The first question is, who did the Bears defeat in the Walter Payton game just 6 days after Legend's death in 1999?
I know that one.
The Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, or the Rams?
That's an easy one. And I can tell you how they did it, too, with the last-minute field goal that everybody said Walter helped push over the
Yep. So the answer is the Packers.
If a Bears fan doesn't know that answer, they're not a true Bears fan.
Right. Or they're too young.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. So this was a question that was on Monday night, and I forgot to pull up I lost my book because there was a fiasco that happened before the show, and with my internet and everything. So the question was, in case you didn't see it, Lynn, the Bears have more home wins since moving to Soldier Field than they had in 51 seasons at Wrigley Field.
False.
False. False, too. We all said false on the show, and the answer is false. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little information.
I couldn't see your show.
Give you the answer.
I had friends in town, so I wasn't available.
It's okay. I understand. The answer is false for everyone. All right, so then there's one more question. Then I kind of have a little history, little thing I want to read to you guys. So where did the Bears play in 2002 while Soldier Field was undergoing a renovation?
I'm gonna get them all right today.
Northwestern's Ryan Field, B, Allstate Arena, C, University of Illinois Memorial Stadium, or D, Notre Dame Stadium?
C.
Yeah, it's C.
Woo, those are kind of easy ones. I mean, if this old broad can get them right, then we know that's they were easy.
I wanted to go back to the question from the other night. When the Bears have more homes since moving to Soldier Field than they had in 51 seasons at Wrigley Field, was the trivia question from Monday. And again, we just answered now. But I wanted to kind of give a little bit of like history on this. So in 1971, the Bears were forced to vacate Wrigley Field because of the AFL-NFL merger, required teams to play in stadiums that seated at least 50,000 fans.
And we know Wrigley does not.
Right. And the Bears had hoped to originally play their games at Northwestern in Dyke Stadium, and actually played their first home game in the 1970 season at the home of the Wildcats. But a permanent move was blocked by Evanston's residents and a Big Ten rule that professional sporting events not be played in on-campus stadiums. The Bears spent a lot of time for a new compliant home and didn't settle on Soldier Field until May 1971, well after the NFL announced Chicago would host the Pittsburgh Steelers in the opening game, which goes back to the trivia question we had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember that one,
Yeah. Soldier Field wasn't designed well for football, but it was the best of the options, which this is where it gets interesting, which also included Comiskey Park and Arlington Track.
Oh, yes. They did talk about that. I remember that. I'm old enough to know that. So I do remember because my father was a huge track buff. He had box seats at the track, and he was pissed. He's like, "What do you mean they're gonna sell the track?" Oh yeah, he was mad, but then it burned down and they built a new one. It was even better. So,
that track is so massive. You could fit like 4 Soldier Fields inside of it. How would they be able to? Well, they wouldn't have been able to adapt it well enough for them to play in that venue.
Well, and there's a lot of land there. There's more land than most people think, and that's why the Bears
is a lot.
They're going to have like their idea is to have like shops and stuff like that, and
Well, just the ring of the dog park of the dog track could fit. I think 3 or 4 soldiers or horse track. I'm used to going up to Wisconsin to the dog track.
Yes,
the ring of it could hold 3 or 4 Soldier Fields inside of just the loop.
Yeah,
much less the other properties. So,
it's huge.
They put the new stadium on one section of the land, and they're going to have all of that to develop. And
they're going to have plenty of parking, which is a bitch at Soldier Field, and then they've got the train right there. It lets you off right there.
And that's what I always take as the train.
And people people from Chicago should be thrilled because then they don't got to drive and they you don't even have to walk. Like you take the train now, you're not going to walk it from Union Station. You got to bus it. Oh,
In fact, I almost always walked. The last couple of times we took like a shuttle.
We gotta take a. I did a bus once, never did that again. But usually,
now they have where you just walk outside and they have
Ubers,
the Mercedes-Benz vans with people just walking around looking for fans. You go to the game, $20, all the beer you can drink.
Wow.
And then they'll pack in as many people as they can in the van. They have a cooler in the back, and the guy sitting in the back is just handing out beers. We got
that, man.
3-4 beers on the ride. So we got like a free ride, and
because you're already tanked from the train ride.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't that bad, but usually I always have walked all the way down. We would take the train to Union Station, walk down, have breakfast in the morning, breakfast in the morning, and then
I'd like to have breakfast, but
and continuing on to the stadium and walking all the way down to it. It was always fun. And then the walk back too is, I think you hit your mic again. The walk back too is, you hit your mic. Tap your mic there, kiddo.
Dang it. Sorry, people. I was never in shape to walk back. We were always too hammered.
See, then we just go across the street to Kitty O'Shea's on Michigan Avenue and continue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, we were probably there at the same time again, right?
Probably.
You
At
were
Kitty
probably that
O'Shea's?
annoying guy next to me. I remember going, man, what is it
Who
with
the
this
fuck
punk?
is this?
I know these youngsters.
Do you ever watch Saturday Night Live?
I used to. I don't watch it currently.
But you know who Horatio Sands is?
No, I don't.
He was in the Jimmy Fallon era.
I bet if I saw him, I would know him. I'm terrible with names, so I'm sure I would. I mean, once in a while, but I'm not like I was when it first started.
So we had like 2-3 hours to go before the train or whatever after the game, and my cousin and I went down, walked to Kitty O'Shea's, and we were standing in line at the bathroom, and Horatio Sands comes walking out of the bathroom, and we were hammered. And I had just bought a Black Bears hat with a silver C, and he had just bought the same hat, and I had never seen that hat before, and we're both wearing it. And he comes walking out of the bathroom, and he's passing me because there's a line, and I grab him around the shoulders, and I'm like, Horatio Sands!
Oh my God.
Horatio Sands! And he's like shaking like, oh
No, okay, yeah, right.
And then me and my buddy ended up going and sitting down, and we found his table. He was there with another actor, Matt Walsh, who's been on many things. He was in Old School. He was Ape. And we sat there for like 2 hours talking to these guys.
Nice.
And I called my wife at the time, and I said, "You're not going to believe who I'm talking to." And I handed the phone to Horatio, and he starts talking to her like, "Yeah, this is." They were talking for like 5 minutes. Then like an hour later, I'm like, "I'm sorry, we missed our train. We're going to be here like another hour. We're still hanging out with Horatio." And I gave her the phone, and like we're talking for another couple of minutes. He gives me the phone back. It was a lot of fun. So I always like going to Kitty O'Shea's after the games. You never know what you're going to meet.
Yeah.
Who you're going to meet or what you're going to run into over there.
Oh yeah. We never ran into anybody famous. I do have one. I know we got to probably wrap this up, but there's a couple good bears. Well, I got a million, but there is a funny one where we were leaving the game, me and my friends, and we were pretty toasted. We saw another win. This was probably it had maybe 12 years ago because Mayor Daley was still the mayor. Okay. So, and I'm walking and there's this guy ahead of us. And oh my God, was he a tall drink of water? He was probably like 6'4", 6'5", but he's in this dress overcoat. And I said to my friends, who comes to a Bears game in a dressy overcoat? You know, like you wear with a suit. I'm like, I got to go find out. They're like, oh boy, here we go. So, I take off and I come up next to him and oh man, was he gorgeous. And I'm like, I'm 5'1", and I'm looking up. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, nothing. What's up with you? And I go, I got to ask you something, friend. And he was in a suit. I'm like, who wears a suit to a Bears game? Okay. And you're by yourself and you're drop dead gorgeous. What's the problem with you? And of course I was drinking and he's laughing. He's like, okay. He goes, well, my boss gave me tickets. So I got to stand on the sidelines. He couldn't use them. I'm like, who the hell is your boss that you got tickets for the sideline? And he goes, Mayor Daley. And I'm like, I'm like, shit. And he's laughing. I'm like, man. And he goes, well, I got to go back to work. That's why I'm dressed like this. I'm like, oh. And so we were talking. And I said, man, I go, hey, do you got any, you got a pen? And he goes, yeah, hang on. He takes it out of his pocket. I go, got any paper? And he goes, okay. And he goes, what? And I go, could you jot down your phone number for me? I kid you not. My friends are behind me going, I have a picture of it. And it's a hilarious picture because I'm so short and he's so tall. And they're like, just ignore her. Just ignore her. And I'm like, hey, I bet you would like a sugar mama, right? He was laughing so hard. I'm like, I made that guy's day. He's going to go tell his boss about me. I'm sure of it.
Oh, God. And his wife.
Yeah, probably. Because he was just too good looking to be single. It was pretty funny.
He was so good looking, he had to be single.
Yeah. When I did that, it was so funny because he's like, yeah, I got a pen. I got a paper. What are
you talking
about? No one
expected.
So that's my funny.
That's hilarious. Birthday. That's an excellent way to end the show, Lynn.
Yes, I think so. So you know what? One thing I want to say though is I said it on my show the other day, and I will say it the rest of the year is we're tough. We're Bears fans. We're tough, and it's going to be okay. Breathe. 2023. It's already December, people. So 2023 is going to be here like that, and we're going to be sitting here. right?
We've already been through the ringer as Bears
Yeah,
fans.
we have. So
since
my
the
thing is,
Packers took over.
Right. Do not pile on the players, though. I don't want people doing that. We don't need to beat them down anymore. They get it. Okay.
Right.
So let's not add to it.
Right. They don't need to hear it. They don't need they need the positivity from the fans.
They need our support now is
we
what
all
they
need
need.
to understand that this is, I'm fucking finally admitting it. It's a rebuilding year.
It is. I've told you since the day we met.
Oh, I refuse to believe it, Lynn.
Just trust this old lady. She's seen a few Bears games, all right?
One of these days, my optimism is going to ring true and be like, I told all you fuckers, 11-6.
Yeah,
I'm like Don Burr. Bears versus everybody.
It better be better than 11-6 next year.
They better be.
So I'm saying.
Yeah, Cliff, next season is going to be exciting. And,
Cliff,
you're right about that.
I am right on with you. It's going to be a great season. So let's just be true fans and just breathe and don't pile on them. That's what I just don't want.
Next year is they're going to be the year to be doing the podcasts,
Yeah. Oh, we're going to have a blast.
Yeah.
And again, if they go to the Super Bowl, it's in Vegas, baby.
Oh, that's right. And you're getting us
from my house.
And you're getting us press pass tickets from George Hallis to that when they go there.
If they go, yeah, hell yeah, I am.
Yeah, right. I mean,
oh, fuck yeah.
Excuse me,
George. Now you can get me those tickets you wanted to get me this last year.
Sorry, George, but I got you on speed dial.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, everybody, any person that he ever gave the phone number to would be calling him for sure.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, my friend.
Well, Lynn,
I'll stop talking.
Tell everyone where they can find you before we kiss off here.
Thank you, my love. You can find me on Monday and Fridays on YouTube. Let's Talk Chicago Bears, and always with Dan on Wednesday.
And it's such a joy to do this with you. It's my favorite show.
I love you. You know that. And I missed you last week. So
I missed you so much too. I'm like, shit.
I know it.
I was so much fun to talk with you.
I just would not have been myself. Trust me, you wouldn't have not. I was
no, it's
not.
Okay. I understand, my dear.
Yeah, but I'm back. And so, yes. And we just got to stick together and, we'll get through it.
All right. Well, let's get those fucking Packers this week.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about a Bears win on Monday because you're going to join us on the Barroom Network, right?
And we are going to talk about the Packers on Monday. So, yes, watch us on the Barroom Network.
On Monday night, that'll be the next time you'll see Bears Country Podcast doing a live podcast. Monday night on the Barroom Network as well as on our own show. You can, if you want to be involved in the chat, because we broadcast from the Barroom and from Bears Country, but most people are on the Barroom. So if you want to be involved in chat, that's really the place to be. If you're on chat in here, there's only a few people, and it looks like there's not many people. It's kind of silly, but
right.
But make sure that you head on over to Lynn's channel, like and subscribe, and set your notifications for her because she is awesome. I love listening to you every Monday. You cheer me up. Good. You make my last 5 weeks feel better after.
Well, I've been trying for people, especially on Monday.
Crack me up every time. You make me laugh so much.
I had to make you laugh, and I put some things in there on Mondays. If you watched it, that I thought would make people laugh.
Yes, absolutely. Right in the opener, it's like, oh Lordy.
Yep.
Well, it is always a pleasure.
Yes.
As always.
You too, honey.
We will see you. Well, we'll see you on Monday on
yes, we will
podcast as well. And again, Wednesday, and check her out on Monday and Friday. And make sure you like and subscribe and set your notifications to this content if you enjoy it. We appreciate you. Without you, this channel would not be what it is.
Very true.
Thank you all very much. And you ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Bears.
I got to get to this. I wasn't ready. All right, ready? Let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. Bears.
Bears.